For sure.
And we need employers. I mean, I don't know if you're struggling with that. I'd probably say that was the number one concern I heard on the trail and continue to hear is where can I find some workers?
It is.
Yes.
But that's a challenge for us for sure.
And
Everywhere.
everybody we talk to.
And people-
Everywhere.
First of all, Regan Deering, thank you and welcome to the table.
Thank you very much.
Chris
Excited
and
to
I.
finally be here. I've been watching.
You
So
have.
you guys have had some awesome guests.
We
and
have.
I feel lucky to be here.
And from Decatur, Illinois, which is my old hometown, and have known you guys, you and Brian, for many, many years, and consider you guys really close friends as well. So thank you for joining us. And obviously, we'll talk about a lot of things today, but running for the 88th District for state rep, correct?
Yes, indeed. So Decatur being home is kind of the bottom corner of the 88th House District. It's got 4 counties. So parts of Macon County, all of Piatt County, a little tiny sliver of DeWitt County, and then about half of the district is McLean County.
Okay, very good.
It's pretty rural. They redid the maps in 2020.
Right.
So butchered everything up all over the state. And obviously the Democratic-controlled legislature did that. So we've got some pretty Republican-leaning areas and some pretty Democratic-leaning areas, and then a few fairly well balanced.
Yeah.
The 88th seems to be a pretty Republican-heavy district. So our current incumbent rep is Dan Calkins, and he gave himself a term limit when he first ran of 3 terms.
Oh.
So he was elected to his 3rd term last November, and so he will serve through January, and has given me his full endorsement to run.
That's
as
great.
his
And good
replacement.
for him. Practice
Yeah.
what you preach.
That's
How
right.
about that? I know.
Politician that
Keeping his
actually
word.
keeps his
Actually
word.
does what he
Yeah.
said he was going to
Yeah.
do.
Amazing.
Well, and you know,
Yeah.
his lovely wife Jo maybe kept that
Yep.
honesty going.
I
Say
bet.
we've got retirement awaiting. We can go do some
love it.
out of towns and some
Yeah.
visits with friends. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but
And
he's
then-
a wonderful state rep. He's
Yes.
really prioritizes constituent service.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can follow that same path too, you know, for me, I think about having been a political candidate before last cycle as well. I really found a lot of the people that I met wanted to talk about state issues.
Sure.
You know, there's kind of that blur between what's a federal issue and a U.S. congressman can handle and what your state
Right.
representative or senator can handle. But a lot of them are the same concerns. And so for me, it's about people first.
Sure.
But I also love policy. You know, I think watching the State House and reading the legislation, you know, a lot of people don't have time to do that.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
they're just kind of getting up, getting the work done, taking care of their family and putting their head on the pillow at night. But being a former teacher, I'm always a learner. And so I read a lot of that. And it's just fascinating what is getting pushed through our state legislation. And being a Republican, that puts us in the super minority.
Right.
So, you know, you try and get good work done where you can. But
Yeah.
I intend to work on what I feel will be good policy for the people of the 88th and, of course, all across Illinois. And then I just want to think about possibilities. This is a great state.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, we want to stay here. We shouldn't have to just keep taking it on the chin.
I know. I agree.
And
I agree. Being a
finding
small
our
business.
exit strategy and,
I
you know,
know.
thinking about where we're going to go next. I mean, we've
know.
got great families here, great businesses, you know,
I
4th
agree.
generation farmers, all that just want to stay and should be able to stay. And so knowing that we've got an opportunity to just go to the Capitol and get work done for the people is really, really
Well,
my goal.
sometimes even as a small business person, you read the things that they're voting into law or some of the policies, and you wonder, I mean, is it them against us? I mean, and we pay a lot of taxes, you know. You're
On time.
Yeah, on time, yeah. And it seems like you would, you know, it's. I guess it's not just always as business as friendly as I think it should be.
Yeah, no,
you
I
know?
agree. And, you know, as a candidate, you want to have those relationships, you know, with the Chamber of Commerce or with the NFIB folks and knowing,
Yes.
I mean, I was a small business owner, franchise owner myself. So I remember the regulations.
Yeah,
sure.
And I remember
Right.
the taxes.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, you wonder sometimes as you look at your legislators, you think, well, have you signed the front of the check as well as the back of a check? Because, you know,
Right.
it's...
Doesn't feel like it.
It
Yeah.
doesn't. You know, you're making the policy, but have you really walked the walk and known what it's
Yeah.
like to balance a budget and try and make cuts when appropriate and, you know, make those hard choices? It just doesn't seem like it.
Yeah.
So.
So what did you learn? Did you learn anything in your first campaign when you ran for Congress that you're going to bring into the state race?
Well, sure. We worked really hard. I mean, I think that my goal as an elected official is really to return to statesmanship. You know, we work for the people.
Sure.
And so being able to go out and find the people where they are and listen was really my big focus on traveling throughout the 13th Congressional District. And the same will be true in the 88th. You know, we had some really good experiences where, as a Republican, we showed up places we weren't expected.
Sure.
And I think as a party, we need to do better about that, because we have a lot of voters that are traditional Democrats that are starting to see the light as how just, you know, being a consistent voter, their life is not getting any better
Right.
under Democratic rule. And that's especially on display here in Illinois. So showing up and talking about what we're about, you know, individual freedoms and success for all, and less government, you know, just more common sense,
Sure.
you know, focusing on families and faith, and knowing that, you know, we want to make good policy for everyone. And so I really think that that is what I learned the most, is people want you to just show up and listen.
Sure.
You know, we don't have all the answers,
Right.
but we can certainly ask the good questions and the tough
Right.
questions,
Yeah.
and maybe shine a spotlight. You know, I had the good fortune of attending Music Fest at Bargenta. Ever been there?
I've not. Where's
in the
that?
town of Argenta.
Oh yeah, Argenta. Bargenta.
It's kind of a real small town,
Sure.
but they have a great bar with a big outdoor patio, and they had wonderful music. And
Oh, that's cool.
I spent a long time talking to a volunteer firefighter from Monticello.
No
And
kidding.
he was like, I'm going to bend your ear for the
Yeah.
next 30 minutes. And I listened, and he's right.
What was
they're-
he talking about? Like, what were his concerns?
Well, it's an all volunteer fire department. Might put him on the spot now, but you know, they're controlled by a municipality, and they have expired equipment.
Oh yeah.
And, you know, just they don't have a ladder truck, but they're a very large municipality. And so if they could get a ladder truck, that'd be great. But they also don't have a firehouse big enough to store a ladder truck. So,
yeah.
you know, there's just some work that needs to be done,
Right.
following through on those steps. But those are the kinds of conversations that are meaningful, because you think,
yeah.
I could go and try
Yeah.
and have those conversations and bring those people together, try and find some grant money and some state money,
Sure.
and maybe some federal money.
Yeah.
You know, we do need to collaborate between all the layers of government as best we can. So, you know, you never know.
Yeah.
You got your name tag on, you never know.
Well, I
That's
agree.
my
Right.
goal.
Yeah.
You know, here
Yeah.
I am.
Well, and when I think about Monticello, I think about Monticello like a Chatham or a Rochester, or you know, maybe even a, you know, but I mean a big community with a bunch of beautiful homes, a nice hospital system there on the interstate, but yeah, they're out there kind of on an island. Yeah.
Yeah. Just small enough,
Right.
you know, to
Right.
maybe
Yeah.
kind of get passed over for some things. And the 88th district is full of real small towns and
yeah.
villages.
Sure.
You know, Monticello is one of the larger populations. Forsyth, Illinois, another big one.
Forsyth,
Farmer
yeah.
City, up near McLean County.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of rural roads I'll be traveling.
Right.
I love it.
Yeah. Get
Yeah.
my car out there, and
Yeah.
I'll be glad when the corn gets harvested, because the intersections are a little
Oh, yeah.
dicey.
Yes.
Yeah, be careful for sure.
to.
Yeah.
Full stops. I
Yes,
come to
absolutely.
full
Yes.
stops. But
Well, you know, our good friend Mike Coffey, who you know as well. I mean, he's really out a lot. You
Yeah,
know,
you have to
and-
be.
And you have to be. So
yeah. I was watching a congresswoman today, and they're about to go into August recess, you know, at the federal level. And she said, it's not really recess. We go home.
Right, go
And we
home.
work in our
Yeah.
districts and
Sure.
start showing up to all the places. So despite it being a part-time job, a well-paid part-time job, I might
Yes.
note, you know, they give themselves a raise
Yeah.
every year. It's unbelievable to me. But,
Yeah.
you know, that's an important part of the job,
Yeah.
is getting out and working and showing up in your office hours and knowing how you can help. I think that's how most people see their legislators. You know, if you have a problem,
Yeah.
you need a, you know, Social Security office question,
Sure.
or, you know, something that you can't get through.
Yeah.
Elected officials have good teams and good connections to be able to try and get that work done. And
What
that's
are,
a key
what,
part
what
of
are
the
some
job.
of the biggest concerns of so far that you have heard from your constituents in the 88th?
Taxes,
Taxes,
and more
yeah.
taxes.
Taxes,
You know,
okay.
we're
Yeah.
the highest tax state in the nation.
Sure. Yeah, makes sense.
And so, death by 1,000 cuts. You know,
Yeah.
we just get taxed on everything. And it's interesting to hear we have a balanced budget. You know, the largest in the state's history. That it's apparently also budget balanced,
balanced.
but remains to be seen. You know, but we don't have an
yeah.
income problem. We have a spending problem.
Absolutely. And I think
Yeah.
that, you know, if I have read things correctly and paid attention, the reason we had either a balanced budget or close to that, because it was very much propped up by a lot of the federal dollars from the pandemic.
And those are running out.
Yeah, absolutely. They're not going to; those dollars are not going to last forever.
Yeah. Well, and you know, Pritzker has said that he intends to make Illinois the most progressive state in the nation, and he's doing everything he can to get us there.
Yeah,
you know,
he
a lot
is.
of the policies and legislation, they in the legislature kind of pass the ball back and forth on whose fault it is, or who gave power to who. But people can't afford things right now, and we're expected to pay our taxes on time.
Oh yeah,
and we're expected to balance our family budget. But when you just feel like you can't catch a break and you can't come up for air, now we've got inflationary costs for gas and groceries and all, mortgages are up, interest rates are up.
Yeah, everything.
Everything is up. Like you said earlier, is it like us versus them, or what are we looking at?
Because it feels that way.
It does feel that way.
It really does.
And there's a lot of fluff in our state budget. Sure. I forget how many pages they said it was, but I saw it stacked on the table in the dark of night. When it passed through, and you think, surely there's some places we could put a pause. On some special projects or something like that. As we mentioned earlier, whether you're running a family budget or a business budget, you have to make some hard choices.
That's right.
And, it might not be forever. You could pause something that might be not quite necessary to be able to give some relief. But I think that's one of the biggest problems. Of course, community safety. I worry about my own family at home always. And, we've got the Safety Act that's going into effect. And was disappointed by the Supreme Court ruling. Of course, we have a Democratic majority in the Supreme Court. They're supposed to be objectionable and neutral, but didn't really feel that way because, the people of Illinois are going to pay the price. And we have to stop giving priority to the criminals.
Right.
But people say, what can we do now? And that's get out and vote. You got to vote your state's
Yeah.
attorneys. You got to vote for your judges. I ran for school board in the municipal election in April in my local Mount Zion district, and the voter turnout is paltry.
Is it?
I mean, I had, I think 7,300 voters were eligible, and I had looked at the prior year, 455 voted for school board.
Oh my
Is
gosh.
that right?
Yeah, that is not very.
No, and think about the control they have, your taxes, where they go, the education system gets the majority of your taxes and things, but also on the ballots are your library boards and your village mayors and your trustees and, sometimes your judges and things. And as a candidate myself, I was the most informed voter ever. I mean, I've always been a consistent voter, and but sometimes I didn't know who the judges were, or, I didn't know who the treasurer was. And sadly, a lot of times they're unopposed for both parties.
Right.
You don't get a challenger. And so as citizens, we're lacking choice. So I always applaud anybody put their name on the ballot. And think if you've got a vested interest and you're concerned, showing up and trying to do it. But I think that, the community safety is another big thing that people are worried about, on top of taxes. And just the cost of things. If we could just start making policy that makes life a little easier for people.
Oh, yeah.
Like, should be our number one priority.
It would be kind of nice, that's for sure.
That's
So
exactly.
tell us about, who Regan Deering is.
Oh, boy.
In other words, the things that you do when you're not running for public office, maybe the boards you're on, how you're wired in the community. I mean, I know you have 3 children, is that right?
We do. 3 teenagers.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that kind of stuff, because I know you have done a lot for the community in Decatur.
Well, thank you for
and
asking.
And a lot of quiet stuff, too.
Yeah, and I was going to say, one of the things we've learned in doing this is that people really love to hear the story behind the story.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
really like to know people.
Because people are like,
Don't
I didn't
we
know
all?
Regan
Right?
did that,
Yeah.
or whatever. I mean,
I know. You need to be everyday podcast.
Yeah,
You
right.
can find all kinds of great people.
It was
I
a
always
lot
say,
more fun than doing sewer backups. That's for sure.
You're right.
Doesn't pay as well, but sewer
Amen
backups
to
are
that.
way better as far as revenue goes.
Exactly.
well, I will start by saying I am always a pleased customer. I just got, the dryers and the dehumidifiers out of my basement. A big shout out to your Decatur team.
Oh, thank you.
They came, of course, it was a Thursday evening, and we had a water heater just sprung a leak.
Never happens
I
at
get
the
a
right
text
time,
from my
does it?
my 18-year-old that's like, hey, there's water coming under the door, and it's getting near my computer, my gaming system, so it's a problem now.
right.
Yeah, exactly. I think we have a problem, Mom.
But
That's
they are
great.
always readily available, have all the right equipment, just
Thank you. Thank you.
a joy to welcome into your home, because you're already
Yes.
frustrated and thinking,
Yes.
this is a mess.
Yep.
But they're always so pleasant and kind, and just get the job done. And so
Thank
I'm
you.
always a satisfied customer.
Thank you.
We also have 2 dogs, including a new
that's right.
puppy. So the carpet cleaning will be next.
We'll be next.
Yeah, I know.
And often.
Yeah, we love pets, especially new ones.
This is a Peerless commercial right here, everybody. You've just done it. And the dry cleaning. I mean, we're multi use
Yes.
customers, but Yeah, so home life comes first and foremost. Brian and I are coming up on 20 years of marriage
Wow.
this fall.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Congrats.
Yeah,
Where did you
thank
guys
you.
meet?
The Lincoln Lounge in Decatur.
Cool. Yep.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people have met there that are married in Decatur, the Lincoln Lounge, just like the Office Tavern. You know?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Is it?
exactly.
Okay.
Still shout out to Tom DeLillo.
There you go.
Get him to sponsor this.
Then this could generate revenue as well.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah.
We're working on it. So he's a Millikan grad and was living in Decatur, and we met while I was home visiting one time. We have three great teenagers, 2 girls and a boy.
Awesome.
And so it's summer. It's busy,
Yep.
Yeah.
and everybody's going in lots of directions. It feels really good to have 2 drivers now.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Kind of helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially since I'm finding myself on the campaign trail again pretty
Yeah.
often throughout the week right now. But we love Central Illinois. You know, we're just great community, great neighbors, friends, business climates. You know, everything. We really love being
That's
there.
awesome.
So, a lot about running for office is we want to stay in Illinois.
that's
you know,
great.
We've got all the right things, and we're just going to continue to make it better. Before running for political office, I was an educator,
Okay.
you know, and so when we had our kids, I kind of hung up. I'm a marine biology major,
Okay.
which is kind of an interesting
Yes.
tidbit.
That is.
yeah.
Where did you go to college?
I went to Duke University. They had a marine lab on the coast,
Oh, cool.
which was kind of my study abroad. You know, a lot of people choose to go overseas
Yeah.
or, you know,
Cool.
pick up their foreign language and get something cool. And I went because they had a marine science lab. So
Cool.
I became a science teacher
Okay.
for a couple of years up in Chicago. And then we had Mac, our oldest. He just turned 18 this spring. So that's when we came back to Decatur.
Yeah.
So I had some free time on my hands, and I've told this story before. Like, be careful what you wish for when you say you have free time, because
Right.
people will take advantage of
Absolutely.
you, and then
Oh, yeah.
you have zero free time
Yes.
anymore. But one of the things that I got involved in early on, as a result of having a Huntington Learning Center franchise, so when we first moved back,
I forgot about that. Yeah, I remember that.
Ashley Inslee and I,
Yeah.
family cousin, started a franchise together. We're actually the only one south of I-80.
Oh,
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we got great community service kind of business, reading, writing, math, tutoring, and little ACT, SAT prep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was nice. And then we got involved in the public schools. So we did some free tutoring through the public schools. No Child Left Behind program, which maybe some of your listeners will remember.
Oh, yeah.
The
Yeah.
federal government program.
Yep, I do remember that.
Sadly, it got eliminated in one day. You know, the state applied for a waiver, so that I fell victim to that. Which, you know, the government giveth, and the government
Yeah.
taketh away. So,
Why would they do that?
well, the situation, without boring you with too many details, was it was federal money that was given to the state and then to the local districts, and the local districts were required to give a certain percentage of their federal money to these businesses that were on site tutoring their students.
I see.
So, I mean, in our mind, it was always a great partnership. You know, teachers are dealing with so much all day, every
Right.
day, and it was a way for us to it was supplemental education. So we would come after school and help with some of the basics and meet with teachers and really individually program. But they were mandated to give that money away.
Gotcha.
And not all programs were as stellar as Huntington Learning Center.
Sure.
And so I think there was some challenges in there, but just with one big stroke of a pen, we all lost our contracting. So that was unfortunate.
Yeah.
But I know I had about 100 part-time employees between
Is that
Decatur
right?
and
Wow.
Springfield Public
Really?
Schools.
Is
Yeah.
that right? Oh,
a lot
man.
of part-time teachers that would just stay after school and work for us. And
Wow.
I know, it was really
That's too
disheartening.
bad. That is
Yeah.
disheartening.
Yeah. But while working for Huntington, I found myself going to a local organization in Decatur called Northeast Community Fund, because the program for free tutoring was meant for low-income families that were in public schools. So I thought I had a captive audience in a lot of those families. So we kind of talked about just putting up a sign saying, if you go to these handful of schools, you know, here's some information. Let's see if your child might be eligible to come. And I remember I had to wait in the lobby. Jerry Pells, longtime director for Northeast Community Fund, he got to 50 years before
Wow.
he retired.
Really?
Yeah, it was just wild. He said he graduated college on a Sunday and he started on a Monday, and he'd been there ever since.
I had no idea. I remember the name, though. Yeah.
Well, he was with St. John's Lutheran Church, and he was a referee and kind of a guy about town, you know, always.
sure.
And
Yeah.
so we actually, if I fast forward a little bit, we ended up building a new facility for Northeast Community Fund, and it's called the Jerry Pells Center.
Okay. Gotcha.
And so
yeah.
it really is his legacy, which is wonderful. But I had to sit and wait, and it was on a little folding chair, you know, and it was crowded because they had rounds of clothing, a free clothing room, and then people were I think maybe they were on like number 60 something at like 10 a.m. for people coming for a food box. And so it was just a really busy place. And I watched this woman come in with a baby on her hip and a bag on her shoulder. And she, like from me to you, just had to tell her story about how she'd ran out in the middle of the night from a domestic violence situation. And she had heard that we would help, the Northeast would help. I say we.
Yeah.
But, at the time, it wasn't we, but... and it just broke my heart to watch her just telling her whole story right there in front of a packed room full of people. And I thought there has to be a better way. And so I had that conversation, and then I just told Jerry, I'd love to be a volunteer. How, put me to work, answer the phone, and after about 3 weeks, I said, you really need more space in here. And told him the story, and he said, well, don't I know?
Yeah, sure.
But he was kind of a one-man operation, and, a real small staff and volunteers. Oh my gosh, the volunteers. Once I started volunteering there, I want my car to drive there most days, because it's just a wonderful place. You're helping so many people, and just the Christian mission, and just the heart of people that wanted to be there and be helpful. So
Are most of those folks very thankful that you served?
Yes. And what was my favorite part is a lot of them would come back and volunteer or be a donor.
Right.
My child
really
has outgrown
cool.
their clothes, and you blessed me, so I want to bless the next person.
That's awesome.
But I ended up joining their board, and then we headed up a capital campaign. So it was a multi-million-dollar project in Decatur to be able to move really just kind of across the road. We watched Crossing Healthcare, which is a wonderful, federally qualified health center in Decatur, expand their building and their footprint and be able to serve so many more people. And it was just right across the way on city property. It was a lot of groundhogs.
Yeah.
It was kind of what was over there.
Yeah,
Just
right.
land the city was mowing, and it was full of groundhogs. So they were happy to supply the land. And Crossing had done some of the just infrastructure work and things, so it kind of made sense. And so it was about 4 years. Took us to raise the money. We went out and told the story about what they were doing and serving low-income families. And we ended up with, I think 6-8 times the space over there.
Boy.
And it now is part of a Community Cares campus. So Crossing Healthcare is there, Northeast Baby Talk, DMCOC.
Baby Talk's there as well? Okay.
And then the Howard G. Buffett Foundation built a drug rehab facility right there in the middle of town, too. So it's kind of a wonderful collaboration spot, and right in the heart of
place
town.
to really meet a lot of needs all at the same location
exactly
or
right.
proximity.
And I always have said about Decatur is I'm really proud of the collaboration. Sometimes you find you're competing for the same dollars as a nonprofit, or, we do that. Why do you do that too? And so I really am proud of the agencies that work together and really just serve the people.
Yeah.
That's the best part. And so I have stayed as the president. Can't remember what term I'm in. I don't know. It all runs together, but
You have a pretty active board, good
we
board.
We do. We're always growing. If anyone's interested in joining us, actually as a board member, we have a few spots available, which is always nice.
Oh, yeah.
And just to continue to tell that story and know we actually opened the building in the fall of 2019, which ended up being about 6 months before COVID hit.
Sure.
And, God's always on time because everything shut down, but people needed groceries and foods. And so we had the property to be able to have a drive-through. So we got our volunteers just load boxes and then just load them into cars. And, we were wearing the masks and the gloves, and everybody felt confident that, we were doing what we had to do.
Sure.
And so that has been really wonderful. They've got a beautiful market style now, so actually people get to grocery shop. There's carts and everything,
cool.
and make choice, as opposed to originally when we began, we just picked the product and put it in a box and
give it to them.
tried to eliminate some waste and just some of the dignity that comes with picking your own. Things. It's still nothing in that building is of cost to anyone. We have food, we have a clothing room, we offer utility assistance. Lord knows those power bills.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's
Well,
great.
especially in some of the older homes that don't have energy efficient windows and
yes,
things like
all
that.
the things,
Yeah,
all the
right.
things. I mean, those bills have just continued to rise, and I don't see an end in sight.
Yeah.
Actually, there was I think I forget the technical name, but an energy commission that came because Ameren is working on a 4-year rate hike.
Okay.
That starts next year, kind of a steady increase, and so just having community discussions about that. But being primarily private dollars, we have the ability to give. On individual circumstances and just help, that kind of thing. So water bills, that's another big one. You'd be surprised. Trash.
Yeah.
That was big during COVID. Couldn't afford your $35 trash bill, but you have your entire family living at home now.
Right.
Nobody's going to school.
Right.
Nobody's going to the
Yeah,
office.
generating a whole lot more trash.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, and you just can't have that out front. But
No,
you know,
right.
$35 is a deal breaker to some families that are
Right.
trying to
Yeah, you're
work
right.
and do it. So it's a definite blessing to be able to do that in community. So I have stayed there. I really enjoy that. So that's the primarily big thing in my time. I was an active member of Paw Print Ministries, which is
Okay.
based out of Decatur. Jennifer Dawn, just one of the most incredible women I've ever met, started with one dog. She got a golden retriever, Peyton, and they became a comfort therapy team. So went throughout Decatur to nursing homes, hospitals, daycares, anybody that could use, you know, that comfort. And it's a Christian-based mission also. And they have 41 dogs now.
No
Wow.
kidding.
That's incredible.
My dog JJ and I were the third team.
Okay.
So we were the first girl. Actually, Peyton's brother Eli joined the team as well, and we were working in the community. And then they just kept getting bigger and bigger. So Jennifer and I had met. She was a Zumba instructor.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think I went to one class. Zumba's not my thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, they have just been doing tremendous work. We lost our dog at 12 in December. So I mentioned that we have a new puppy.
Yes.
I don't know if we'll get into the Paw Print Ministry organization. The training is really intense, about
Is it
100
really?
hours.
I was going to ask that. Yeah.
And those dogs will, you know, sit and stay and be pulled on and tugged on and walk alongside a wheelchair and just do all the most amazing things.
That's incredible. Yeah.
But it's a really wonderful organization. They just had a new ribbon cutting on a facility, Park 101 area, kind of in the area of Decatur, but just great space to be able to have in-house training and you know, meet community members and have events. And I'm really, really proud to have been a good part of that organization and just knowing the work that they continue to do. So,
That's awesome.
so that's not on my calendar anymore. So,
Okay.
you know, just left more time
Yeah.
for politicking,
Yeah.
I guess.
Right.
Why not?
Are there any major issues going on at the Mount Zion School Board level or the school district that you can
I've
talk
had my
about?
third meeting,
Okay.
And so the next one will be right before school starts. So I kind of got in that summertime when it's a
Yeah.
little bit quieter, but some big, costly projects, which is always good, you know,
Yeah.
boilers and
Yep.
air
Right.
conditioning units and new gym floors and some staffing turnover. You know, you get retirements and
Yeah.
change and things. And so I think we're pretty ready for the fall.
Is there a shortage of teachers or no?
State and nationally, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Mount Zion is doing a really great job of keeping it well staffed, and I think that's a testament to our district and our families that are always continue to be supportive of our educators and our staff members.
Do they have a strong foundation?
They do.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. You mean like a private foundation dollars as well?
Yes.
They have a good foundation just for being
Yeah,
a great
for
place
being
to
a great
educate your
place,
children.
Yeah, I meant the funding, like
Yes,
a private
they
where
do.
you kind of know
Mount
you
Zion
guys have some
Foundation
fundraising.
for Quality Education.
Yes.
So they offer teacher grants annually every year, which helps get some dollars in classrooms for
Gotcha.
special projects and things. I mean, budgets are always
Sure.
tight and thin,
Right.
and you know, you get big things like a gym floor that suck up a lot of your money. But they do have a really nice fundraising arm, and I give those trustees a lot of credit for being able to make sure our teachers are funded well and have room for those extra special things. But no, you know, for me running for Mount Zion School Board, I have two girls that are going to be a junior and going to be an 8th grader in education, and I am thankful that Mount Zion is a small, conservative, pretty well organized community. But I just want to keep it that way.
Sure.
You know.
Oh, yeah.
There's of course lots of popular cultural topics in education, you know, that are kind of dripping into, you know, potentially, I think, the conversation of them becoming indoctrination centers instead of, you know, quality education centers. And
Right.
so I intend to play a part in keeping that way.
it
I'm
that
really
way.
happy we've got a great board of 7.
Yep.
Everybody is very respectful and gets along. I wish more people would come to our meetings.
Yeah.
That was one of the reasons I ran was, you know, just education and transparency. You know, we're spending a lot of your money.
Be
you
careful
wanna know
what you
what's
wish for.
Right,
You
true.
know what I mean? Yeah, as long as they're the right people, right?
But no, I mean, I take them all.
Well-
The rest of the board laughed at me. This is a perfect example of me and my personality. I asked for a name tag. And they all looked at me like I was crazy and said,
Oh,
"Oh,
yeah.
be careful what you wish
Yeah.
for. You know, people will find you and people will know who you
Yeah.
are." And I said, "But I made a commitment to this, so I'll show up at the band concerts and the sporting events and
good for you.
Back to school nights. And if you want to ask a question,
Yeah,
or
if
if
I'm
you have
representing the people, then
this is what I signed up for. If I didn't want to
Yeah.
do that, then I wouldn't have put my name on the ballot. But I've created a Facebook page and just kind of share meeting minutes and agendas. If you want to know what's going on and kind of what's being discussed, I think we should have that out and available.
Well, I think it's great.
Well,
Todd Garner was a school board president, obviously no longer with us, unfortunately, but his office was next to mine, at Peerless. And so I would listen to some of the conversations he'd have, and I'm like, who is that idiot? You know what I mean? He's like, so-and-so. I'm like, oh, for crying out loud. And they're going to be at the school board meeting and raising these issues. And I was like, I don't know how you do it, my friend. But he, like you, felt like, hey, my kids went through here. I went through here. I'm a Mount Zion native, and I want to, instead of complaining about things, I want to be a part of the positive change, which I think he was.
Yes, absolutely.
And, it was part of that, what's the deal? The sports facility, the indoor, and then the theater,
the field house.
Field house, yeah, it was amazing.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Unbelievable
The turf
facility.
field, the turf football field. I mean, there were a lot of changes that came under his his watch,
leadership,
which I think he was really obviously very proud of and should have been. So, but thank you for your service there, because we were Mount Zion residents as well at one time.
Well, and I think one of the other big things is we just had a self-evaluation in our last board meeting during executive session. So it was kind of a nice opportunity to talk about what we could work on and what we're doing well, and just learning about each other, which was kind of fun. And I think that one of the things we need to continue to do is community outreach, because it's not just parents and students. I mean, you have taxpayers that have no children in the district, or you have somebody that has a business in the district, and they find that when our school is successful, our community is successful, and their business can be successful.
That's right.
And Mount Zion is growing. We've got people moving kind of out of Decatur and looking for districts that have a great education foundation and good home opportunities. I would like to see us have more housing options in Mount Zion, because it is a great place to live, but you got to have some of that mid-range housing, or maybe rental properties and things. So anybody out there in Decatur that's got a goal for that, let me know. I'm gonna try and help.
You help with that as well.
But it is a community thing, and we have to think about who the stakeholders are. And the same is true in running for House representative. We represent everyone in your district, and maybe even 3 blocks over, because the maps are so bad. I heard a congresswoman say this morning, which I will echo her sentiment. You may not be able to vote for me, but I vote for you every day. When she's in the legislation, and just says, I'm thinking about you all and what's best for our state and what's best for our country. And I really like that, because I think,
like that too.
Even if you're not in my boundaries or whatever, like I don't have Decatur proper in the 88th district map, but I know
you're going to be thinking of Decatur proper.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
And, that's like the way it carves around. It carves out ADM, and it carves out Richland, and it carves out Milliken, and then continues north. But their concerns are all of our concerns. And so we kind of got to coalesce. And I like to be able to think I can give a little bravery to the Republican Party. We're in the super minority, but keep talking to each other, keep, working hard for the greater good. So
I like that.
That'll be one of my goals. Yeah.
Well, certainly you lead from the front, and I think you've got a great temperament I think that there's a lot of people that like to stand in the background, point fingers, and you know what I mean? And you're obviously not doing that. So thank you for, all that you do for the public, and then also for the community you live in. It's awesome.
Well,
and it's both, I suspect, school board and as a state rep, kind of thankless jobs.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
but I love your perspective about taking serious the fact that if elected, you really are representing the people.
Yeah.
And I think that gets lost with so many.
Yeah. And it's there's a lot of big, flashy, newsworthy, debates and arguments. And I really think that, as small towns and Illinois citizens, we have so much more in common than we
Yes,
do apart.
absolutely.
And, if we could just stick to respecting each other and,
Sure.
Getting the right people at the table to talk about things, when we were talking earlier, is it us versus them?
Right.
I may not have all the expertise, let's say, on, the banking industry, but guess what? I'm going to call upon, those I know in the banking world or the credit unions, the mortgage lenders to say, let's talk about this together. Let's get the right minds
Right.
at the table to kind of think about legislation and what works. And, if you can stick to that and respect each other's opinions and expertise and feelings
Yep,
sometimes.
Sure.
Yeah, well, and having
Sometimes
those.
feelings have to be considered. I'm always the sort of hashtag facts over feelings mentality. But,
Yeah.
you do want to be able to see other people's perspective.
Yeah.
And that's something that I pride myself on, is always being a listener. And, we may not agree, but,
Right.
if depending on the situation, you do need to take those things into account.
Yeah. And having the right people at the table, depending upon the issue, is really pretty critical. That's why so often folks are so disenfranchised with politics, because we feel oftentimes like they're enacting legislation that really lacks common sense, that's really not practical, that's really not real life in Springfield or Decatur or Champaign or wherever we live. And to hear, okay, well, I understand your idea, but in reality, that's not going to play out that way.
Right. Yeah. And you've seen it, being at the chamber and being involved in a lot of the policies and things like that. Yeah.
Well, and the lobbyists, do all they can.
Absolutely.
And try and make those same cases. But, if we just could get back to some of the right priorities.
Yeah.
And I don't think I have, unrealistic expectations in knowing Republicans are in the super minority.
Right.
So a lot of times you can put a bill forward, may not even come to committee, may not even
Right.
for sure make it to the floor. But, you think, okay, well, I can't not go across the aisle and say, look, this matters to your district folks too.
Yeah.
Right.
This is just a bipartisan kind of common sense issue.
Yeah.
Can we try and focus on this? And, I'd like to see every layer of government, more single issue bills instead of these big, huge
Oh, I know.
omnibus,
Yeah,
middle of the night, nobody gets to read it,
Yeah,
I
for
watched,
sure.
I watched,
For
Republicans in the majority in the U.S. House put in some of those guardrails, and so I think our state house could use it too. But until we get out of the super minority, I'm not sure.
Right.
I'm not sure what's
Yeah.
going to be feasible at that
Pretty
point.
challenging.
But I think that the harder it gets to keep people here in Illinois, the more we have to recognize that we're going to have to really start working together and working for some common sense
Oh, I know.
legislation, because we're not going to have those tax dollars. I mean, the number one exodus are the prime working age
I know.
and that prime earning income.
I know it.
So if they're leaving, you got the big companies that leave too, and that's
Sure.
a big hit. But you get a lot of these kind of middle-aged, higher income workers and families leaving. We're not going to have kind of that bread and butter of our tax base,
Right.
I know.
and it's terrifying. So-
You know what was terrifying for me? I went to the Illinois Retail Merchants Association and the Illinois Manufacturers Association annual luncheon. And the governor spoke, and then the House Minority Leader spoke for the Republicans, and then the majority spoke for the Democrats. The information, if it would have been fact checked, would absolutely just blow your mind. I mean, it was like businesses are moving into the state of Illinois so fast it's hard to even support it. I did not know that. Did you know that?
I'd be surprised.
Yeah. I mean, and people were standing and applauding, and I mean, it was mind-boggling.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, I just don't see that, but maybe there is more going on in the Chicagoland area or areas that I don't know about. But
Well, and manufacturing, is doing a great job of some of those big companies that are coming. A lot of them are
like
based
Rivian's
on
big, obviously.
Yeah.
Rivian,
Yeah.
we talked about that, and that makes sense to me. I'm like, okay, I drive by there. There's a lot
Yeah.
going on in Bloomington. There's
Yeah.
a lot of manufacturing, buildings going up and cranes, and now that makes sense to me. But
Well, and a lot of it's being pushed by the governor's, CEJA, which is the Climate and Equitable Jobs Act. So a lot of green energy,
Yes.
a lot of renewables, which I just think people that have lived here long enough have a hard time believing is going to be sustainable.
right, I agree.
And, we keep moving the goal line. We're going to be, better, cleaner, sooner.
right.
And, when I was on the trail in the 13th, we had those coal-fired power plants down there, and they're just going offline.
Yeah.
They're
It's
just
crazy.
ending, and that takes the jobs with it too. But also
yeah.
then we've got rolling brownouts, and what's going to be sustainable. And so I don't think anyone is against renewable energies and clean
Right.
energy.
No.
But we do have to make it reasonable.
Sure.
Yeah,
we do
reasonable and
have to phase it in.
practical.
Yeah, and
Correct.
practical.
Yeah, when people
because,
go to turn their light switch on and the lights don't come on.
Yeah, and it gets hot here.
Yeah.
And it gets real
Yeah.
cold here.
Yeah.
Just look
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
to Europe,
Yeah. Oh, I
when you
know.
talk about kind of their express on getting to the renewable fuels, and they're hurting now,
Oh, yeah.
or California.
Yeah.
We don't even have to go that far.
I
But
mean, I can't imagine sleeping in a house right now tonight when it'll be 95 and 90% humidity if you didn't have power. Yeah, it'd not
and
be
that's
good.
that's when people are going to sit up and take notice and start
Correct.
pushing back.
Yeah.
Is when
Yeah.
you do literally not have that ability to
Right.
flip the switch, and I'm afraid it might be coming.
Yeah.
But I applaud the people. Mark Dinsler's a great guy
Oh,
with the
great guy.
IMA and doing
Fantastic.
everything he can.
Yeah. No, he is amazing. Yeah, and that wasn't what my comment. It
No,
was more
I-
about the politicians and the things that were being
What's their
communicated. And I
perspective?
thought, well, I didn't realize that, you know,
Yeah.
because I thought it was the other way. Anyways.
Yeah,
so,
no, it's true. I mean, and they do need to take advantage of the opportunities that are given by the governor and the legislature.
Right.
It just feels like
yeah.
sometimes it's breadcrumbs.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, and the,
Yeah.
Sure.
it doesn't feel like it's affecting as many regular people.
Yeah.
You kind of get those companies that are in that special category or things, and we're like, we just need small businesses with 50 employers and 20 employers that are putting food on the table of their families in these small towns and communities, and just being able to make a life here in Illinois.
Yeah.
Because we want to stay.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And we need employers. I mean, I
know.
don't know if you're struggling with that. I'd probably say that was the number one
Yeah.
concern I heard on the trail and continue to hear is, where can I find some workers?
It is.
Yes.
But that's a challenge for us for sure.
And
Everywhere.
everybody we talk to.
And people,
Everywhere.
and people that we will put in your home. You know what I mean? There
Yes.
are people
You
out
do
there,
have
but I'm talking about people
standards.
that you
Yeah.
want in your home, that you feel safe when a Peerless logoed employee shows up to your doorstep.
Yeah. Well, and you got to do the background checks,
Yeah.
right? And you got to have
Right.
honest and reliable workers. Reliable, I think, is another big
Yes,
piece of the
key.
puzzle right now.
Yeah,
I have an 18-year-old that came home, and I was like, the world is your oyster.
Yeah.
You can dress appropriately, you can look somebody in the eye and have a firm handshake and follow directions and show up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So go
We'll
get
take
it.
it.
Go do
Go
it.
get
Go
it.
do it.
Get 3 jobs. I mean, you got 3 months
Yeah.
to build back up your savings
could
account.
he come over here?
Yeah, we could use them.
Could we talk with him?
Yeah, sure. I'll give you his phone number.
Yeah.
But I know that there is that workforce out there.
Yeah.
And I
Oh,
applaud
yeah.
places like a Richland Community College that's trying to bridge that gap.
Yeah.
Yes.
And find the workforce and do the job training and
Yep.
the skill set, and a lot of the high schools that are focusing on vocational things
Yeah.
now. I mean, I applaud all of that, and
Yes.
I will do everything in my power as a legislator to continue to get funding for that kind of work, because
Yeah.
we need a succession plan for this country,
for sure
on
agree.
every layer.
Yeah.
And it's just become glaringly obvious.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Coming
Yeah.
out of the pandemic or
Yeah.
whatever may be the case. I mean, we have a lot of citizens that are overly reliant on the government. And like I said earlier, the government giveth and the government
take
taketh
away.
away.
Yeah.
So, when some of those funds dry up and you're going to have to get a job and get work, you're going to be standing in a long line.
Yeah.
Because everybody's going to be in a very similar situation. So I applaud those that are getting out there and doing it and working really hard and trying to get that second job and third job and, do better for their families. But, it's just a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And I think it's a whole nother topic maybe, but it's leading to that mental health crisis too. People are overworked and overburdened and stressed. And, the thought of losing hope
Yeah.
in a lot of these homes is really
Yeah.
too bad. And we're doing all we can, you
Right.
know. There's a lot of mental health resources, but they're stretched so thin.
Yeah.
You know, and it trickles into every part of life, not just here in Illinois, but across the country. So I really want to get back to just, community. Northeast Community Fund's logo is Love Thy Neighbor.
I love it.
And,
Simple. Very simple.
we do need to start paying attention to the
Yeah.
people closest to
Oh,
us.
I agree.
And
Yes.
being
I agree.
helpful
Yep.
and, helping with childcare and each other and
Yeah.
repairs and meals and, just keeping an eye out.
Yeah.
I think about how sometimes my garage goes up and my car goes out and, I wave at
Yeah.
someone, but do I really know? Are they,
Right.
they're walking their dog, but what's going on with them?
know.
Are they
I know.
struggling with something, or could I just walk my dog too alongside
Right.
and have that conversation?
Yeah.
Or just, I think we all just get busy
I
and kind of
agree.
in our own way.
Yes.
For sure.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So I always try and keep that at the heart of my everyday too. Who do you
Well,
see
and
that
I
you're
suspect that'll have a big influence on how you lead and govern.
Yeah, I sure
Because
hope
it's
so.
from the heart and
I sure
paying
hope so.
attention to what are the real priorities that we need to be focused on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, as a Republican, we need more people like you leading from the front and throwing your hat in the ring. So thank you for serving, and obviously very hopeful that you'll win the 88th district.
Yeah, and then I can come have lunch over here if I'm at
Anytime.
the
Yeah.
Capitol. You know, just.
Yep. And
I think there's a very few elected officials that can get to work, in a little less than an hour or so. So I would be blessed to have that fall into my my drive time of being close, because there's a lot of great people over here in Springfield, and I know that getting away from the Capitol.
Well, and I know you made a really very positive impression when you ran for Congress over here. I heard a lot of great things about you.
Yeah,
and the
Springfield.
community. I
Parts
really
of
did.
Springfield were in that district,
Yeah.
which was nice,
Right.
and being able to come and meet people where they are. And like I said, there's just so many voices.
Sure.
When you think about business people or farmers or educators or hospital workers or, firemen and law enforcement. I mean, there's just so many people to think about that, that was my favorite part of campaigning, and continues to be, is just meeting people. I always say, let's talk about something else besides politics too. Tell me about yourself, or tell me what your priorities are, why, because that's what you get kind of at the heart of why, they want to have you advocate for some, X, Y, Z or something like that. And, you can only control what you can control. People said, God, you signed up for this again. What were you thinking? And I said, I could probably count on one hand the number of horrible, very bad days I had in running for federal office. And mostly it was days that something came out that I had no control over.
Sure.
And you just thought, darn it. You can't, that's just kind of how politics works. It's big money, it's big power, and you just think, golly, sometimes I would just wish that we could, everybody get the same budget, same amount of time,
Even playing
same
field.
budget.
Level playing field.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be nice? But I don't see that happening anytime soon. But, and then there's the people who are like, think about the money that gets raised. You could just, give everybody in your district, I don't know, $200
I know.
with that. If you split it up, amongst 100,000 people or whatever. And wouldn't that be more beneficial? And you think, yes, it would.
In many ways, it probably would be.
Yes, it would. But, just staying true to yourself, you got to put your own head on the pillow at night and think, okay, I did all I could do. I tried to make as many. My team always makes fun of me because I'm like pencil paper, old school.
Sure.
So I don't have any notes with me right now, but I'm not. And just to know that, people just want to be heard. And so you just write stuff down and you try and remember and you try and do something about it when you can, or make that connection kind of thing, because politics is about people.
Yeah. No question about it.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a great discussion.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much.
I'm glad to come over to the hub, the house.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate
Good
that
luck
very much.
on the trail and at the ballot box.
Yes, for sure.
Thank you.
And say hello to Brian.
I will.
Yeah.
I will.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank
Brad
you.
and Chris.
All right. Yep, you bet. That was good. That was really